every street that you could walk on is owned by a gang. Not owned by a gang, but it's claimed by a
Yeah,
gang.
which means that you're essentially in different
Yeah,
danger and territory if you don't
exactly.
really understand where you're at.
And the craziness about that is that, you know, this is this table. We got this table. I'm right here. I'm in one hood, and you right there. You in another hood, and we don't get along with each other.
Yeah. And
It's
then,
that-
yeah. And a lot of
yeah.
times these are like hated enemies.
Yeah,
Like they
yeah.
hate each other.
Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. It's a lot of bloodshed, a lot of tears, a lot of emotion riled up in this rivalry. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So now I'm in a space where I'm growing up. All I'm hearing, I think it was 3 gangs that I knew at the time when I was in elementary school. It was the Hoovers, it was the South Lows, they're a Hispanic gang,
Mhm.
and it was the Divin Lane Bloods. You know,
Mhm.
they was across the street.
Mhm.
So when I got to Henry Clay, that's when my mind opened up to where it was like, okay, now I'm hearing about other gangs.
Mhm.
So
And Henry Clay is the middle school you went
yeah,
to, right?
yeah. So
Mhm.
I attended Henry Clay Middle School from 6th grade to 8th grade.
Mhm.
So now I'm meeting new people, and we still playing football. You know, it's a gang of our childhood friends that was at Henry Clay with me
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And now I'm looking for an outlet, right?
Mhm.
So the thing with me is I was infatuated with everything that I didn't see in my home. So I was provided with a great father, like
Yeah.
from there's never been a time that my father wasn't
Yeah.
around. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Even when him and my mom was going through whatever they was going through, we never seen it outside of a petty argument. You get what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
So now I'm seeing my mom. I'm seeing my mom hustle. I'm seeing my mom, you know, work, you know, little jobs, $8 here and there. You know,
Doing hair.
exactly, all type of stuff. So I'm seeing her hustle, and my dad always had a good job to, you know, my understanding and stuff like that. So now I'm infatuated with what I'm not seeing. So it's like, okay, I'm seeing this dude. He coming. We 11 years old. We 12 years old. He walking to school with a bandana out of his pocket. And to
Mhm.
me, like I'm knowing the deal. I'm knowing that it's like, okay, he probably from somewhere, but I just thought it was fly. Like I
Mhm.
thought bandanas was fly, you know. And I'm not somebody that was driven by like the Snoop Dogs and all of the I guess you would say celebrities who were quote unquote gang banging. That never enticed me. I was enticed by the dudes that was my age. So around that time, it's like, okay, I'm figuring out. So now I'm starting to claim hoods. I'm not from nowhere. I'm just claiming hoods. You
That's
get what
how
I'm
it
saying?
always
Yeah.
starts too, dog. It always
Yeah.
starts that way. Explain what that means by like claiming a hood.
So when you claim a hood, that's pretty much you putting yourself a part of a gang, but you never made yourself official, or you never went to that hood and got official. So when you go to a hood and you get your official, you gonna however their protocol is in that neighborhood, you gonna fight that many people. So
Or for that many seconds or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. So like even like in middle school for me, like I knew about Crips because my family were Crips.
Right,
And I had
right.
one cousin who was a blood who's from Piru. And I
Right.
remember being in middle school,
Mhm.
you hear Piru this, blood this, Crip this, but everybody was friends. It was
Yeah.
like it's really
Yeah.
middle school was a very interesting time for a kid in gang culture because everybody was friends, but they also didn't like each other because their gangs didn't like each other.
Exactly.
And I remember I started claiming stuff saying blood this, blood that
Yeah.
because I had friends from Cedar Block, Piru.
right.
And I remember I'm saying blood this and blood that, but when
Right.
I'm 10 minutes later, I'm saying cuz this and cuz that. So I'm trying to find myself
Yeah.
because I think at that age, you're trying to herd or find your group because that's what you do at that age.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry.
Nah, you good, brother. So but it's crazy how even as a child, you know, you have a sense of discernment, you know.
Mm.
So I knew where I belonged and where I didn't belong at the same time. So though I grew up in the Hoovers, it was like I knew a few of them because I went to I went to elementary school with them.
Mhm.
But when I kicked it with those guys, I never felt like
It was home.
it was home.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So when I got to Henry Clay, you know, it was a gang of different gangs up there too. It was some H-Ray gangsters up there. I learned about them. Matter of fact, I learned about them in elementary school as well. I had a homeboy that was from H-Ray gangsters. He was official in middle school. So I knew about the H-Ray gangsters. So we had a few dudes that was from H-Ray gangsters up there. We had some Rolling Honey Crips. We had some Raymond Crips. We had some East Coast Crips. You know, so now I'm hearing a variety of different gangs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I felt I got close to my boy BJ. You know, I got close to my boy BJ in the 6th grade. And Drees, you know Drees.
Yeah, I know Drees.
Drees played with us. You know, that was, you know, my squad. So
Drees' dad just died, didn't he?
yeah, he just passed.
Mhm.
It's going on this October, it might be 2 years.
Mhm.
You know, he got killed on a Friday, and that's that's, you know, man,
Yeah.
it's deep, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I you know, got to kicking it with BJ's older brother, you know, and I remember being 11 years old, and he had got into it with some dudes from his neighborhood. You get what I'm saying? And we had went to a certain section because the Rolling Hundreds, which is where I'm from, it's a bunch of different gangs that make up one gang.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we so big of gang, like each gang is so big that we can beef with each other. You get what I'm saying? So I remember being like 11 years old and walking from the Hoovers to the 111 neighborhood Cribs, which was across the road from us. It was walking to where we went. It was probably like a 25-minute walk. Walk with him to fight some teenagers. You get what I'm saying? I'm 11. He about 14 at the time.
This is when you're just claiming, right? You're not
At this time, I wasn't claiming. I was just trying to be a good friend.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was always big on loyalty.
Yeah.
Even when I didn't fully understand what loyalty was.
Yeah.
It was something that was just in me. Like, man, this is my boy. I'm not finna let him go by
Yeah.
himself. And I'm not even looking at the age gap out the age difference. I'm just looking at it like I love him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we go over there, and you know, they squabble up. They do what they gotta do, and that was that. But when the closer I got to him, and I understood his gang culture and where he was from, and I seen the love that he had got, or whatever the case may be, I wanted to be a part of that. But also, when I started being introduced to these dudes, it's like I never felt pressure. You feel me? They wasn't like, you know, I do hear stories where dudes like, oh, you hanging out? Like, when you gonna get your put on? When you gonna be a part of the hood? Whatever, you know. That's not my story. You know, when I chose to get put on, that was a decision that I made on my own. It was no pressure. And matter of fact, if I'm being completely honest, they knew me from playing football. They knew me from being solid and stuff like that. So when I decided to get put on the hood, it was dudes trying to talk me out of it. You know?
Really? That's really, really rare. Like,
yeah,
that's
it
really,
was
really
dudes
rare.
like, man, nah, bro, you know, you playing ball, like you got a future. Like, you know, you ain't gotta be from the hood. Just keep doing what you doing. Like, you know, and I was just like, nah, like I'm ready to run my face. Like, let's get this out the way.
I'm interested in that because, like, to me, you say you didn't feel like it was home.
Yeah.
And you had a good dad and you had a good mom and you understood teamwork from playing football.
Right.
But you were attracted by something. Like, what was it? You know what I'm saying? Because I think, like, a lot of the times when I hear about gang culture and people joining gangs, and I've been there before where I was like, I wanted to be a part of something.
Right.
Whereas when people join gangs, they say, well, I was just being a follower. I wasn't the leader.
Yeah.
And what I find fascinating about that is that when people say that they're, like, most of these guys who say that they're followers, when you listen to them talk, you would never think they were a follower. You're a leader.
Right.
Like, you're a leader.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
you're a leader. But I think I've heard you say, like, I was just being a follower and I was just following that line.
Right.
So what does that mean for somebody who actually is a leader?
So it's not understanding your role. You get what I'm saying? I feel like at the time I was following people that was following me, and I didn't understand that. So it's like and just to get back, I was seeking for a validation. So I remember doing an interview before, and they asked me, like, you know, and I just said it blatantly, like, you know, I was a follower, and like the truth is though, it's like, yeah, I was very much being a follower, but I felt like I was seeking a validation that wasn't necessary. You know, so as I'm seeking this validation, it's like I'm not thinking that I'm seeking validation because in my mind, I'm already a stand-up guy. And everybody already look at me as a stand-up guy. So in my mind, though, it's like, okay, I gotta be a part of this in order for me to feel how I want to feel.
What were you looking for, you think?
If I'm being honest, I still can't tell you.
Yeah.
I still can't tell you.
Yeah.
You know, but I think too, would it be a guess maybe, is that it was a darkness in me. You know, it was a darkness in me that I felt like I had to explore. And I felt like that gave me an excuse to do it.
Yeah.